Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here. Don't forget to subscribe. And what do NordVPN, hardware wallet giant Ledger, Instagram, and five major countries have in common? We're going to be talking about them right now on Breaches of the Week. And as always, I want to thank the people that sent me a lot of this information, and that would be Stephen Bouchard, Richard Hammond, and Steve Schmidt. And with that, let's dive right in. And we're going to start up in Canada, though technically Spain, with Desjardins. Now, this is an update on that massive data breach from a few years ago. Juan Pablo Serrano, basically, he's been wanted since June 2024 in connection with that massive data breach, was arrested in Spain, according to a news release that was basically published this past Tuesday by Quebec provincial police. Now, Serrano was arrested the evening of November 6th thanks to a joint operation between Spanish authorities, provincial police, and Interpol, according to this release. Now, he was among the most wanted fugitives in Quebec and is wanted basically by the Financial Crimes and Cybercrime Investigation Division as part of Project Portier. That's a large investigation into the Desjardins data breach. Now, Serrano is currently detained in Spain, and he is going to be extradited to Canada and will face three charges: identity theft, fraud exceeding $5,000 Canadian, and trafficking in identity information. So, kids, crime doesn't pay. Moving on, a quick update on Oracle e-business. And this past week, Dartmouth, basically the Ivy League university in the United States, had to basically declare, and 40,000 people related to Dartmouth are caught up in that. So best of luck to you, Dartmouth students and faculty. Moving on, NordVPN. Guess what they make? Anyway, they've denied suffering a data breach after a threat actor leaked data allegedly stolen from NordVPN systems. The attacker claimed on January 4th on breach forums, basically that they had obtained source code from a quote NordVPN development server, end quote. And to continue, the hacker said, and I quote, "This information was acquired by brute forcing a misconfigured server of NordVPN, which has Salesforce and Jira information stored." Now, the attacker publicly released some sample data and made this information available to download for premium users of Breach Forum. That's a cybercrime forum. NordVPN responded to the claims on January 5, saying that while its probe is ongoing, initial forensic analysis had not found any evidence of its servers or internal production infrastructure being compromised. In addition to that, NordVPN also clarified that the leaked data does not originate from its Salesforce environment or any other internal system. Instead, it appears to come from a third-party automated testing platform that essentially they evaluated 6 months ago. So hopefully NordVPN is correct and this is not their production data. So all you VPN users that are using Nord are safe. Moving on. Let's talk about payment processor Global E. That's Global Dash E. And apparently, we have to first talk about hardware wallet giant Ledger, because they now have a data exposure as a result of their third party payment processor, Global E. Now, an email notification sent to customers by Global E and initially shared basically by blockchain sleuth Zach XBT on X, aka Twitter, said that the breach involved unauthorized access to Ledger's users' personal details like name and contact information from Global E's cloud system. So if you use Ledger, heads up to you, you might want to check in. Moving on, I want to give you an update on Conduent. This is that Conduent, excuse me. This is that massive data breach from a couple years ago. And they basically had previously confirmed their data breach to the Attorney General of Oregon in 2024, saying that basically 10.5 million individuals were impacted nationwide. But a recent breach report submitted to the Texas Attorney General indicates that 14,791,500 individuals in Texas alone have had their personal and protected health information compromised in that incident. So, just in Texas, which is a rather large and populous state, they almost not quite, but basically added another 50% just on Texans. So Conduent, I think, is going to get a lot worse. You know, I'll keep you informed here. Moving on, Gulshan Management Services. You might not have heard of them, but if you're in Texas, you might be using some of their properties. But here's what's going on. On January 5th of this year, Gulshan filed with the Attorney General of Vermont after they discovered that attackers had infiltrated their system. They said unauthorized party gained sensitive information and access to it, including names, social security numbers, and driver's license numbers. Basically, Gulshan is now sending out notification letters, but you may not know who they are, but they manage roughly 150 Handy Plus and Handy Stop gas stations and convenience stores across the state of Texas. So, heads up, y'all, you might be in trouble. Moving on, let's head south of the border to the Universidad Nacional Autónoma de Mexico, or UNAM. They detected and contained a cyber attack deployed into 5 of their IT systems during the winter vacation period. The institution confirmed the activity, the activation of security protocols and the absence of data extraction following the incident. This detection, which was made by the General Directorate of Computing and Information Communications Technology, allowed for the isolation of compromised assets before the vulnerability could spread to the central infrastructure. Their technical response protocol was essential to mitigating this impact, considering that UNAM manages more than 100,000 systems. So that's obviously a huge thing. Basically, their zero trust strategy of compartmentalization prevented the attack vector from compromising the operational integrity of its institution, allowing for over 99.99% of its infrastructure to remain operational and secure. Well done, UNAB. Zero trust and isolation is part of a good cyber defense strategy, and I'm thrilled to see it working. And that's exactly what you want. If you've got 100,000 systems and you're able to contain it to within 5, and those 5 end up being non-essential, you're doing it right. So UNAM, hats off to you. Moving on. Let's head to the United States and talk about U.S. engineering firm Pickett and Associates. And this ain't great. Now, a cyber criminal says they have taken many sensitive documents, including almost 900 classified files, with basically them attempting to sell these files for 6.5 Bitcoin, or roughly $580,000 US. The data is believed to be related to the large US utility companies known as American Electric, Duke Energy Florida, and Tampa Electric Company as well. So, not a good look, but heads up, if you're a customer of any of those 3, you might want to check in. Moving on, First Federal Savings and Loan Association, they recently announced a cyber incident which impacted the personal information of an unknown number of individuals. This incident basically had an unauthorized person gaining access to First Federal's network and may have acquired records containing personally identifiable information that would include, outside of names, social security numbers, driver's license, government issued IDs like passport, states IDs, financial information, account numbers, credit or debit card numbers, and medical information as well, I assume, for their employees. So heads up to you, First Federal customers and employees. Moving on, a quick update on Marquee Software Solutions. It seems like every week somebody's declaring, and this week it's Vera Bank. This is a financial institution in Texas, basically with branches across eastern Texas. So if you bank at Vera Bank, you might want to check in. Moving on, let's talk about Instagram. Yes, Instagram, one of the world's most popular social media platforms, because they've just found themselves in the center of a global cybersecurity scare this past week after millions of users received password reset emails that they had never requested. Now, the sudden influx of these messages, and they look legit, started hitting inboxes around 4 to 5 a.m. Eastern Time on January 8th, and they've left users worldwide puzzled and anxious about their security accounts. And now, according to Malwarebytes, the situation is actually more dire than a simple technical hiccup. They confirmed on January 10th that the attackers had stolen sensitive information of about 17.5 million Instagram accounts. This data includes usernames, physical addresses, phone numbers, email addresses, and other personal details. This stolen information is already being offered for sale on the dark web, and here we go. Another Meta property with another data breach. And I swear to God, they are terrible, terrible, terrible at security over there. And finally, and this was a shorter week, I want to basically talk about which countries suffer the most data breaches. This might surprise you, it might not, but let's dive in. Now, this is basically being taken from Experian, the credit reporting organization. Every year they put out a data breach industry report, and this one is for 2025, as they've closed out that year and reported. So, the top countries hit the hardest in order are the United States, no surprise there, the United Kingdom, kind of surprising there, Canada, Australia, and Mexico. So many consumers feel the impact of the attack, and obviously they're anxious about cyber threats and all of that. But according to the report, younger generations are increasingly vulnerable to scams, while many victims feel unsupported after their data has been compromised. Consumers also question, according to Experian, whether the companies they trust are ready to defend against sophisticated cyber threats. 1 in 4 millennials, basically surveyed, reported being a victim of identity theft in the past year. That's 25% of millennials. That's crazy. We're talking about like 20s and 30-year-olds, and I think early 40s. Now, nearly a quarter say that they've fallen for a phishing attack at home or work in the past 12 months, and more than 4 in 5 are concerned about artificial intelligence being used to create fake identities that are indistinguishable from real people. And yes, that is absolutely nuts. Now, some of the key findings for the US and the UK, and I'll go in order here, and they did not put findings for Canada, Australia, and Mexico, but let's start with the United States, because more than 1 in 3, about 35%, of adults worry about being found personally liable for monetary loss as a result of a cybersecurity mistake at work. Of those surveyed, 69% do not believe that their bank or retailer is adequately prepared to defend against AI-driven cyber attacks, or they're unsure. Now, interestingly enough, a lot of people are not really read in on the capabilities or lack thereof, both ways, on artificial intelligence. So I'm wondering how much of this is panic. But over 3/4, 76% of Americans believe that cybercrime will continue to increase and will be impossible to slow down because of AI. And I think that's actually a pretty solid result, because yes, I think this is going to be a huge thing. Now, the UK has some interesting numbers as well, because a quarter of UK adults, millennials, again, 25% say they've been a victim of identity theft in the past year as well. So it's the exact same numbers for the United States. 1 in 3, 33% of UK adults worry about damaging their professional reputations online due to cybersecurity mistakes at work. And among those who've had their data stolen in the UK or exposed in a data breach, more than 3 in 5, 62%, say they did not say the organization provided adequate support. So what we're hearing here is everybody's worried. A quarter of us are getting hit across the two top companies, US and UK, and basically we're not getting support. So this is, I think, the state of the world walking into 2026, and you've got basically a whole bunch of artificial intelligence that's going to be ramping up around the world. I mean, look at hardware prices for things like memory, et cetera. They're going through the roof because essentially the data centers and the companies that make the data centers or own the data centers are consuming every damn thing. So this is going to be a problem, straightforward. We'll see where this goes, but quite frankly, here we are, and best of luck to us all. So those were your breaches of the week. Were you impacted? Let me know. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, and please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please, please, please attempt to stay private, informed, and secure. Take care.